And just into the Situation Room, moments ago, President Obama commented about the crisis in Syria during a meeting in the Oval Office with the Danish Prime Minister. Let's listen in.
We had a chance to talk about a wide range of international issues, including the situation in Syria. And I have to say that all of us who've been seeing the terrible pictures coming out of Syria and Homs recently recognize it is absolutely imperative for the international community to rally and send a clear message to President Assad that it is time for a transition. It is time for that regime to move on, and it is time to stop the killing of Syrian citizens by their own government. And I'm encouraged by the international unity that we are developing, the meeting that took place in Tunisia that Secretary Clinton had attended, and we are going to continue to keep the pressure up and look for every tool available to prevent the slaughter of innocents in Syria. And this is an area where I think the Prime Minister and I deeply agree. It's important that we not be bystanders during these extraordinary events. At the same time, there are other threats in the region, including the situation in Iran, and I thanked the Prime Minister and the Danish government for their leadership role in applying the toughest sanctions we've ever seen coming out of the EU. Difficult sanctions to apply, but we both agreed that we're making progress, and they are working in sending a message to Iran that it needs to take a different path if it wants to rejoin the international community, and that there is an expectation on the part of the world that they abide by their international obligations when it comes to their nuclear program. So the final thing we talked about was the fact that we both have two daughters. They're roughly the same ages. We traded notes. The Prime Minister's daughters are slightly older than Malia and Sasha. She assures me that they continue to behave themselves even well into their teenage years. So I'm encouraged by that report. And I thank you very much. I hope that you have a wonderful stay while you're here, and we look forward to working with you again.
And with that news from the president, let's go straight to CNN's Michael Holmes. He's monitoring the situation in Syria from his post in Beirut. Michael, what's the latest out of Homs right now?
Yeah, well, the big news today, in the last few hours anyway, Gloria, has been the situation involving those wounded journalists, the Western journalists, in the battered neighbourhood of Baba Amr. Now, after some delicate negotiations, the ICRC and the Syrian Red Crescent moved into that neighbourhood on Friday. Their aim was to evacuate not just the wounded journalists, but in the words of a spokesman, all persons in need of help without exception. Now, the ICRC say 7 civilians were taken out first to a hospital in Homs, but away from the main fighting. Activists say that that was their one and only rescue mission so far. The journalists are still there inside Baba Amr. Now, the ICRC says it's getting on for midnight here in the region, Gloria, and the ICRC say that's going to be their only trip for the night. They hope to start up more trips tomorrow and bring out civilians. Now, the activists inside there say they want the civilians taken out first before the journalists, and they're claiming that the journalists agree with that. There's no way to independently confirm that claim. There's 2 badly injured journalists in there. There's 2 who are uninjured, and of course the bodies of the 2 who were killed, all in that same shelling incident in Baba Amr on Wednesday. Gloria?
Have the aid groups been able to communicate directly with people there and with people they would like to evacuate? Well,
interestingly, they have been able to communicate on the ground with the opposition forces inside Baba Amr, but just literally seconds ago we got word that from an ICRC spokeswoman that they have not actually communicated directly with those journalists in there, the Western journalists, but they have been able to negotiate with the opposition and the Syrian forces to get that first lot of wounded civilians out, 7 of them who were very badly wounded, apparently. So we're told, too, that there was no ceasefire while this went on. There was shelling, and gunfire in the general vicinity. So obviously a very delicate situation, and all of this coming on a day when another 90 people died around Syria, 30 of them in the city of Homs. A very, very bad situation, Gloria.
And what will happen to the bodies of those murdered if they don't get them out soon, including those journalists?
Yeah, that's been the big issue. The two journalists, the American journalist Marie Colvin and the French photographer Remy Ochlik, those bodies, these people died on Wednesday now, and those bodies have been sitting there. Activists we've spoken to said if they don't get them out soon, they are going to have to bury them there in Bab Amma, which of course the families would like the bodies back, their employers, everybody would like those bodies taken out. The activists are saying it's almost becoming necessary to bury them. So everybody's hoping that they get them out in the hours ahead, hopefully by tomorrow morning, Gloria.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, Michael Holmes. And we want to talk some more about the United States options in Syria. And here with me is CNN national security contributor Fran Townsend. She's a former Homeland Security advisor to President George W. Bush. And I guess the question really for us going forward, you heard what the president said earlier. He said it is important that we not be bystanders. But what does he mean by that?
Well, look, he was thanking the Danish Prime Minister for the imposition of sanctions. The president has taken a leading role in the imposition of sanctions. But I think what you're seeing, Gloria, is sanctions aren't enough.
Sure.
Words aren't enough. Meetings, even the Friends of Syria, it's not enough unless it produces action for the people, the opposition on the ground in Syria. What does that mean? You need the Arab allies to help in terms of arming the opposition so that they can defend themselves. You need diplomacy because, of course, you're going to need to get humanitarian aid in and the safe passage of humanitarian workers, NGOs. And by the way, we need to be talking with the regional allies about women and children who and Syrians who wish to get out of the country need safe passage. You need all those things, humanitarian aid right now and safe passage being chief among them. And that's further complicated, Gloria, by the fact we've seen a warning go out by the U.S. government about Syria's chemical weapons stockpiles. This is a huge concern because, of course, if they feel existentially threatened, the Assad regime, what will they do?
Well, and that's the whole question about arming the opposition. A, is there a way to arm the opposition indirectly? And B, do we know that the people we're arming are not bad guys? Well, also,
right. This is not an easily answered question, and I think that's why you've got to rely on your Arab allies. Our allies in the region have very close and historical relationships with Syria, with the tribes. Let's not forget, you have a Sunni-Shia issue and tension going on there between the Shia and the Alawites versus the Sunnis. The longer we wait, the more you will likely see a more radicalized population who will long-term resent the fact that America did stand on the sidelines and let the slaughter continue.
So is there anything we can do right now? I mean, as the president says, sanctions, we don't want to be bystanders, Assad must go.
Right. You need absolutely food, medical supplies on the ground now. You need safe passage for Syrians who want to leave. And you've got to work with your Arab allies to arm the opposition so they can defend themselves.
And that would not be in public. So thank you very much, Fran Townsend.
Sure.